Okay, so today we are going to meet Pete and Tammy. These are very young retirees. You can see 58 and 56. If you come over here to accounts total, column 5, you can see they've done quite well for their age. They have almost $5 million in assets. The bulk of it is in this 401k. It's Pete's from work. And then we have a little bit less here with Tammy. Almost $4 million in the 401k, about $330,000 in Tammy's 401k. We have real estate, checking savings for emergency fund. Very similar to the last plan we made. This should be cause for celebration. Anyone who has $4 million at 58, 56, especially around here, just as an electrical engineer, should be doing some kind of celebratory dance. But instead, Pete and Tammy can't sleep at night. They are seriously shaken by the movements of the market. Now, this has never been a problem before because they've been working, they weren't paying attention to 401ks. They're not investors by trade or professionally. He's just fully matched his 401k, went above and beyond, and only reinvested it in company stock. And he's done quite well because he knows the company. He knew what to expect. Another reason why sometimes simplicity pays off instead of overthinking it. But this almost $4 million in his 401k, a year ago, it was $2 million and some change. A year before that, it was $4 million. They don't enjoy the whipsaw back and forth movements of the market, and they're kind of ready to get off the roller coaster. They're what we like to call here, they're in the barn. They could not do anything. They could take no action, leave it where it is, take what they need. Their budget is $10,000 a month. That's what they need to live their lifestyle. That's not beans and rice. That's including vacations and everything. They need $10,000 a month to live, and they have almost $5 million in assets. There's no problem here. The problem is that it's ruining their life to know that this $4 million in column 1 could be halved in just a couple of days or even a day in some circumstances. They've been on the ups and downs before. It hasn't grown in 2 years. In fact, a year ago it was half as much as this. I said the year before it was basically here. And they're ready. They've regained their losses and they're ready to get off the roller coaster. There's a couple things we can do here. Tammy has some health problems. She has some chronic health problems. So they're looking to up their income as much as possible so they can enjoy their time together because they don't know how long that time together is going to be. So I have 2 plans. I have one for income, so they could go spend as much income as we can provide them based off of what the estate they've created. But they have another problem where they have a special needs granddaughter. So they also want to leave some to the granddaughter. So let's see if we have to pick one or the other, or can we have a bit of both? So the peace of mind plan is the income plan. They should never need anything else in theory unless inflation just runs amok. Hopefully we get that tamped down, but barring that, this plan right here should be completely sufficient for what they need in any kind of vacations they would want, even if they doubled, maybe not doubled, even if they significantly added to their monthly budget, this would be okay. So number one is what's called a MIGA. Think of it as a CD. It's an annuity because we love annuities. We love the market. We love annuities. We love life insurance. They're all just tools. They all have a purpose. We're going to cut that $4 million in his 401k in half, put $2 million into this MIGA. It's going to produce 6% interest a year guaranteed every 10 years. We're going to take that interest out, all 6%. We're going to pull $127,200 a year out of this $2 million. The downside is that only lasts for 10 years. So at the end of the 10 years, we're going to have to reinvest that. But they're young retirees. So by the time 10 years is up, he's 69, she's 67. Some people are retiring then. So we're going to have to remaneuver this column 1 MIGA at some point in the future, but that's okay. They'll have 2,247,000 left. That's not a bad starting point. We have another MV10, similar to the one we had in yesterday's plan. This one's a little different. We're projecting about a 6% growth rate on this one. We're going to take 4% a year out of this, and then it should steadily grow. Again, you can never predict the years the sequence of the 6% returns, but it should average about that. So it could look a little different in practice. We adjust these plans according to what happens. Column 3, because we do want to keep them in the market a little bit, we have a quarter of the money going into this S&P 500 index with a stop loss. So this is all the ups, all the downs of the market. The thing they're running away from, we're going to put them right back into it. But there's a 15% floor. So they get all the up of the market and all the down, but only down to 15%. Once they hit that 15%, it's going to kick them out into cash and bonds, and then we'll re-enter the market when we think it's the right time. We'll help them with that if that time ever comes. Hopefully it doesn't, but you never know. Then they have their real estate and checking and saving emergency funds still. So let's see what kind of income this produced. Taking 4%, 4%, and 6%. Let's go over here. You see his last year of work. Well, this is both. They're retiring in a year, both of them. So this is a combined salary of $140,000. That's what they're making right now. That goes away in a year. So we look at the end of year 2. This is where our plan kicks in. You see their income jumps from $140,000 to $223,000, taking off these previous columns, the MIGA, the MV10, and the market. That's a significant raise in income. A lot of people get a tax break in retirement. Pete and Tammy aren't. So do they want to take all that income? That's up to them. But they can do whatever they like with it. And that's if they had an income problem, which like I mentioned they don't, this would be the way to go if that's a concern of theirs. This is completely safe. Column 1 is completely safe. Column 2 is completely safe. You can only not make interest. You can't lose your principal. Column 3, we're putting that at risk, but only to 15%. So we have to ask, versus the past where all of his money was aggressively invested, he couldn't sleep at night. Can you sleep at night knowing that only a quarter of your money is aggressively invested, only down to a 15% loss? You can only take a 15% loss on a quarter of your money. Is that any better? And you're making, what is it, $80,000 more a year roughly? Is that okay with you? So that's the plan if we're solving for income. If they expect a shorter life expectancy because of the medical problems that Tammy's facing, and they want to spend the most money up front, this is how we do it. And you see still, even taking a lot of income from this, at the end of, by the time they're 78 and 76, column 1, well, that's hard to predict. Should grow exponentially from this 2 million. Column 2 should be 1.7 million. Column 3 should be about 2 million. They're leaving plenty. The home is going to be almost 600,000. Checking and savings, we don't know with that one. So they're still leaving a quite large estate for their granddaughter with the special needs. And that's taking a lot of income. That's taking far more income than they need. Then you got to think, what do you do with this extra income? Do you want life insurance? Do you want an IUL? Do you want, you could reinvest it and you could go on vacation? It's whatever you can think up. There's a lot of potential in income and lots of peace of mind in this plan compared to the 401k fully invested in the market. Let's look at plan 2. Plan 2 is for safe growth. So the goal here is still growth, same as before, but not aggressive, risky growth. This is growth where we're going to try to keep the ground we made. So we took the MIGA. All the columns are the same in this plan. MIGA, we're only taking, I think, let me see. Taking about half as much. I think we're taking 3% out of the MIGA. I don't remember my percentages. I made this plan a while back. We're taking about 3% out of the MIGA. So instead of 2.1 million left over at the end of the term, we're going to have a guaranteed 2.9. So we're going to leave some in there to grow. We're going to take some out to supplement income. MV10, I don't remember. I think maybe I changed this to 3% as well, because we were taking 6% out of 1, 4, and 4. The cliche 4% rule. I think I just bumped it down to 3%. So we're going to leave more in here to grow. That should grow to 2 million instead of 1.7. The S&P with the stop loss, I cut it the same, maybe 3%. It's a cut in income. That should leave them 2.5 million versus 2.1. So you can see here we're not going crazy with the growth. That's not the point of this. It's just to keep it growing a bit more aggressively if they want to leave that to their granddaughter. We're taking a little bit less income, getting a little bit more growth. Safety is the same. So this is an option. And we see their income goes from 140, working still, to in retirement 135,547. So it's not the same. You'll see they're not getting a raise in retirement this time, but they're leaving more to grow. And to be completely honest, the savings they're going to have from not contributing as much as he was contributing to his 401k, this 135 right here at the end of year 2 versus the 140 at the end of year 1, his original salary versus his retirement salary, he's still going to get a raise because his cost is lower. So they'll still see a bump in income, even though the net income or the gross income is going to go down. Their usable money will go up. So these are 2 ways to do it very safely, very boring, not a lot of high-speed aggressive trading, and we're not using option strategies and covered notes and trading futures contracts. This is very conservative, just to show that it can still grow. Now we're not going to get, if you go back to where they are currently, now mind you, I'm not taking income out of this in their current position. I'm just leaving it growing. We're not going to get this 15 million maybe. We're not going to get this million from the 300,000, but these clients have established that that's not their goal. Their goal is to not lose what they have, to grow it conservatively, to grow it without risk of losing all the ground they gained in their long time working, and to leave a little bit so their granddaughter can maybe have some help in the event they pass away. And these plans accomplish that. I mean, we could do a lot more. We could get extremely aggressive with it. We could use insurance strategy. We could do all kinds of things with this. But again, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, as easy to understand as possible. This has no moving parts. This has one moving part. This has maybe 3 moving parts: up, down, kicked out of the market. And real estate and checking and savings, those don't move very much. They're not unpredictable. So that's it. The point of this plan was to make sure they could sleep at night, and we have accomplished that. This was a past plan. You can see some of the reasons the numbers are different is because we've already done this plan. Rates have gone down a bit, but this is the get some rest plan. It's going to be okay. You're going to have all the money you need regardless of which strategy you pick. You could pick the income, you could pick the safe growth. You're going to have what you need. You're going to have the liquidity you need. And you're in the barn. You're in the barn. Don't lose what you got. So that's the gist of this one. I hope this has been educational and valuable in some way. I will have more of these. Perhaps this wasn't the best example I could have put up as the third example, but there's plenty more where this came from. This is just one situation that maybe someone could relate to, either an advisor or a retiree. And hopefully this gives you some idea of how to think about retirement, different ways to approach it that are a little bit different than perhaps what you've heard or the conventional wisdom. Things can be done safely like this. You don't always have to be complex, and you don't always have to be aggressive. Sometimes you get everything you need and that's enough. So I'll see you in the next planning video. Take care. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.